He's what's called a useful idiot. I mean, if you actually read translations of what's being said on Russian media, they make fun of him. I mean, he's like a puppy dog.
What a despicable human being she continues to be. The anger over Tucker Carlson interviewing Vladimir Putin continues to rage on the left and in some quarters of the right as well. This isn't a typical black and white conservative liberal issue. But if you're one of those conservatives who are also sort of questioning whether it's appropriate for a journalist to actually interview a world leader, if you're actually swayed by the idea that Tucker Carlson should be deported and stripped of his citizenship and have sanctions against him in Europe because he's interviewing Vladimir Putin, because he's just allowing him to spew his propaganda, and Tucker Carlson is a puppet and being used as a tool. If you're inclined to think, maybe that's a good point, I want you to pause for a second and realize who else is on your side with that issue. This lady is on your side. And I don't know, maybe it's me, but when you're talking about Russian propaganda and when you're talking about being a propaganda tool of Vladimir Putin, when you're talking about lying to advance a political agenda, maybe she's not the best person to speak on the behalf of your cause.
I mean, he's like a puppy dog. You know, he somehow has, after having been fired from so many outlets in the United States, I would not be surprised if he emerges with a contract with an outlet, because he is a useful idiot. He says things that are not true. He parrots Vladimir Putin's pack of lies about Ukraine. So I don't see why Putin wouldn't give him an interview, because through him, he can, continue to lie about what his, objectives are in Ukraine and what he expects to see happen. It's really quite sad that not just somebody like Tucker Carlson, who has, as I said, been fired so many times because he seems unable to, correlate his reporting with the truth, but also because it's a sign that there are people in this country right now who are like a fifth column for Vladimir Putin. And why? I don't know. I mean, why are certain Republicans throwing their lot in? Why are, other Americans basically believing Putin? Why did Trump believe Putin more than our 11 intelligence agencies?
I don't know. Do you have a working theory?
I do have a working theory.
Well, there she goes again. You know what the working theory is. Trump's just in league with Putin. Trump stole the election for Vladimir Putin. No, Vladimir Putin stole the 2016 election for Trump. They're right back at it with the Steele dossier and Russian collusion. And I didn't really lose the election. It was stolen. And gosh, why would Trump believe Vladimir Putin over our 11 intelligence agencies? Well, I don't know why you would believe Vladimir Putin necessarily, but I do have a pretty good idea why you wouldn't believe our 11 intelligence agencies, because sadly, our 11 intelligence agencies have been politicized. Don't believe me? Take a look at the Hunter Biden laptop story, where we had 51 intelligence agency veterans guaranteeing that was Russian disinformation. And well, then about a year later, apparently even the New York Times recognized that it wasn't. In fact, just this last month, the Biden Justice Department conceded in a federal court that the Hunter Biden laptop wasn't Russian disinformation. So, geez, it seems like, the intelligence agencies don't always tell us the truth about some things, especially as it relates to Russia. Hillary Clinton, by the way, making fun of Tucker Carlson for being a puppy dog and not asking the tough questions and not participating in a real hard-nosed interview, while Alex Wagner is sitting across from her on MSNBC like this. I mean, do they even see themselves? Look at Alex Wagner here. Look at the body language. Look at here.
I mean, why are certain Republicans throwing their lot in? Why are, other Americans basically believing Putin? Why did Trump believe Putin more than our 11 intelligence agencies.
I don't know. Do you have a working theory?
Yeah, we want Tucker Carlson to be a real hard-nosed, tough journalist and ask the really tough questions like Alex Wagner is doing right here. I mean, look at her. It's ridiculous on the face of it. But of course, Hillary Clinton can't stop herself. Here she is, hammering Tucker Carlson and calling him a useful idiot, and then taking it even further.
It's more than just the political partisan advantage. There is a yearning for leaders who can kill and imprison their opponents, destroy the press, lead a life that is one of impunity, unbound by any laws. There's a yearning among certain people in our country for that kind of leadership. And I find that absolutely gobsmacking terrifying.
I mean, do you want to tell her? Should I tell her? Who's going to tell her? I know Alex Wagner isn't going to tell her. I'm sorry, there's a yearning for a leader who imprisons and murders their opponents. I mean, this is Hillary telling us this. And by the way, there's also a yearning for leaders who keep all of their work emails a secret from the American people who are paying for them. There's a yearning for the American people to have a leader who makes millions of dollars from foreign interests and then hides them in accounts so that you can't see them. There's a yearning for leaders whose husbands will go to a hostile nation and collect $500,000 for a speaking fee. There's a yearning for leaders whose sons and brothers will make millions of dollars from hostile nations doing business with the government while that leader is actually in the government. Does she recognize who she's describing here? But of course she doesn't. And this is even the other side of that coin that's frankly more enraging. Not only does she not realize that she and her husband and the Bidens and the Democrats, when they're in power, are guilty of exactly what she's describing here, but more importantly, what she really thinks is you want a murdering dictator as your leader, right? I mean, think about the logic of her position here. She's right back to the deplorables thing. She has such contempt for American voters who dare to disagree with her politically. You don't think I would have been the greatest president of all time? You voted for Donald Trump instead of me? Well, there's something wrong with you. You have the yearning for a dictator, for a strong man who will murder his opponents. What a despicable human being she continues to be. And sadly, we're not done. There's even more from Hillary Clinton in this interview. By the way, I'd love to show you the part where Alex Wagner asks a couple of tough questions about her history and some of the criminal behavior in Haiti and the Clinton Global Initiative and the grift and all that stuff. But that never happened. I have not seen the Tucker Carlson interview of Vladimir Putin yet. It's not going to be released until later tonight. But I guarantee you that there are tougher questions from Tucker Carlson directed at Vladimir Putin than there was anything from Alex Wagner directed at Hillary Clinton. Guaranteed.
This particular issue, if I were the Supreme Court, I wouldn't want to wade into this. It's such a good opinion, I would deny cert, let the opinion stand. It's in line with previous opinions. When Trump made the argument about, this will hamstring future presidents. Well, he's the only one who has been in this position. And he is the only one who has claimed such broad blanket immunity. And we know what his real thoughts are. Remember, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. My supporters wouldn't care. He thinks that he should be above the law, that he should be able to manipulate the law. The last time I checked, despite Trump and his supporters' efforts to undermine this, we were a nation based on the rule of law, not on the rule of individual men, the way that Trump keeps trying to claim.
I mean, as someone who ran for the presidency and won the popular vote, is it like, can you even wrap your head around arguing in court that you should be able to assassinate your political enemies using SEAL Team 6? I mean, how did that argument land with you?
Yeah, you see what I mean. We really need to have hard-hitting journalists like Alex Wagner asking the tough questions here whenever possible. But can we just stop for a moment, marinate and ruminate on Hillary Clinton saying that Donald Trump thinks that the laws don't apply to him, that Donald Trump thinks that he should be above the law, that Donald Trump actually has some level of corruption with regard to how he approaches the presidency or public service? This is Hillary Clinton saying that. And instead of Alex Wagner with her fawning and her admiration and her pep squad little cheerleader reaction to Hillary Clinton, wouldn't it have been fascinating for the reporter who lands the interview with Hillary Clinton to stop right there and say, you know, Secretary Clinton, I got to ask you, there are a lot of people who will hear you say that right now, and they'll think, wait a second, how many times in Hillary Clinton's career in public service has she been above the law? That she has said that the rules don't apply to her. For instance, we have a sailor on a submarine who took a picture of the interior of that submarine, and he got convicted for taking that picture, and he's in jail right now. And under the exact same law, it would apply to you having federal documents in a private email server during your time as Secretary of State, but the law didn't apply to you. Do you see how people could hear you say this and actually think that you're being a hypocrite? What's your response to that, Secretary Clinton? But of course, Alex Wagner didn't ask that question. And there is no reporter who would ever get an interview with Hillary Clinton who would ask that question. Otherwise, they wouldn't get the interview. But yes, please, let's ask Hillary Clinton about Tucker Carlson engaging in propaganda with Vladimir Putin. But just make sure, while you're asking Hillary Clinton about Tucker Carlson engaging in propaganda with Vladimir Putin, you don't ask Hillary Clinton any tough questions about her checkered career, because we wouldn't want any of that.